All right. So let's see here. So we all know that, like I said, in Hebrew, we know that when we're doing the words, we read from right to left. So starting over here on the right-hand side, all right, we have a hyphenated word here, okay? So what's the first part of our word here? Okay, so we have a yud, right? We know it's going to make a Y sound, and it's pointed kidik, so that makes like a double E. And then we have the letter vate, right? We know it's vate because there is no dot inside. The dot would make this letter sound like a B. So it's going to sound like a V in this case. And it's also pointed with a shva here. So we're following a short duration vowel point. So what type of shva is this then? All right, it's silent because we're following a short duration vowel point. So the silent shva does nothing but close the syllable. So the first syllable here is these two letters and this vowel point. Yiv. Yiv. Okay? Then we have the letter het. We know it's het because this front leg is attached to the top. And it's pointed how? Patach, right? Short duration A type vowel with a resh behind it. All right, so we have ch, a, char, right? Char. So we have yiv, char, right? Yiv, char. All right, so what about the rest of our word here? All right, so we have the letter lamed, which we know makes an L sound, and it's pointed with kamatz. So this is a long duration A type vowel. So it sounds like AH. So we have L, A, La, La. Then we have the letter Nun, and it's followed by a Wa pointed Shuruk. So when we remember our little guy that we had drawn up there on the board that time, when he ate the stuff that was no good, when he ate the crab and salami sandwich, you remember, and it made his stomach bad, didn't it? And he was like, "Ooh, my stomach hurts. I should never have eaten that." Well, so we've got our wa, and it's pointed shuruk. So what sound does this letter make? Ooh, right? So n, ooh, nu, la, nu. All right, yivchar lanu. Okay, yivchar lanu. Now, look what we have here. We have the aleph and the tav together. So that makes the sound et. We have aleph, which is a silent letter, but it is pointed with segol, right? Which is a quick E sound, and then followed by the tav. So E, et, et. All right? Et. So we have yichar, lanu, et. Et what? All right, so we have a nun here, and it's pointed with patach. So we have an N sound, followed by a quick A, na, right? Then we have the letter het again, just like we had over here, and it's pointed katef patach. So that means what? It's just a short A sound as well, okay? So cha. So we have nacha, nacha. Then we have a lamed, so we know that that makes an L sound, and it's pointed kamatz, so long A, A-H. So we have L, A-H, la. All right, so nachala, Then we have the letter tav, and it's pointed with sere. Now, what type of vowel is sere? A long duration E type vowel. So it sounds like EH. So how would we pronounce this? Te, te, te. So we have nachalate. Then we have a nun. So we have an N sound here. And we got this guy with the stomach ache again. So what sound is the stomach ache guy going to make? Ooh, right? So we have an N followed by ooh, nu. So we have nachalatenu. All right? Nachalatenu. Nachalatenu. And then look what else we have here again. Look, we have another et, right? We have another et, another aleph tav, right? What about our next word? All right, so we have a gimel, and that gimel is pointed how? Vocal shava, because we're at the beginning of a word. So that vocal shava is going to do what in this case? Give a quick E. So we have a G sound followed by a quick E. Ge. Now, we're going to kind of jump into a diphthong here because we have an aleph, which is a silent letter, right? But then it's pointed how? Holemwa. So that makes an O sound. And then we have nun sofit, right? So what sound does that make? It makes an N sound at the end of the word, right? So these three letters together, the aleph, wa, and the nun, are going to work together to make a sound like on, like O-H-N, on. So we have geon. You know, you've heard people say, geon, get out of here. No, that's a southern thing. All right, so geon. All right, so we have yivchar lanu et nachlatenu et geon. What about this word? What's our next word? All right, so we have a yud here, so a Y, and it's pointed with patach, quick A, ya. Then we have ayin, silent letter, but it's pointed chatef patach, so it's going to make this same short A sound, right? So ya, a. Then we have the letter kuf, so k, right? K. And then it's pointed cholem with a vate behind it. So k, ov, kov. So we have Yaakov. All right, Yaakov. We all know who that guy is, right? Yaakov. Yaakov, all right? Yaakov. All right, and then we got this little piece down here at the bottom. Let's bring that down just a little bit. All right, so the first part, all right, the first part here, we have aleph, silent letter pointed katef patah, so it makes the sound ah. Then we have the letter shin, because the indicator's on the right hand side, right? So sh. Then we have segol, short E with an R or resh behind it. So sh, share. So we have a share. A share is a difficult word to translate because it can mean so many things. It really, really does. You'll see here in just a minute. All right, so What about the last part of our word here? Again, we have the aleph, which is a silent letter, and it's pointed kamatz. So ah, all right, long duration, ah. Then we have a hey, and see right here, it's not connected, so it's going to sound like an H, okay? So we have a H sound with a tsere or a like a EH after that, so heh. And then we have a vate, v, hev. So we have a hev. All right, a hev. All right, asher ahev. Okay, so let's read it together. We've transliterated it. Let's read it together. We have Yifchar lanu et nachlatenu et geon Yaakov asher achev. All right, let's do it again. Yifchar lanu et nachlatenu et geon Yaakov asher ahev. Okay, so Yivchar. So what does the word Yivchar mean? So the yud is acting as a prefix, right? So when we see the yud acting as a prefix, it's telling us he will, okay? So he will something, all right? So that, I'm sorry? All right, so it is the word Bechar, but it's not, this is where we get the root Bechor from. Okay? So the Bechor is what? He's the firstborn. All right? So the Bechor is the firstborn. The word Bechor, right, means chosen. So Yivchar means what? He will choose. Very good. Okay? He will choose. What about Lanu? Lanu. So the lamed used as a prefix means what? To, for, in the direction of, and then nu means what as a suffix? Us, nu, us. Okay? So lanu, to us, or in this case, the two becomes for because he's doing the choosing. Does that make sense? He's doing the choosing for us. So he will choose for us. We have this et here. We're going to leave that alone for just a minute. We're going to come back to it, okay? But he will choose for us. Then we have nachalatenu. So we know that the nu on the end of a word means what? Us or our. So what does that leave us as a root word? Nachal. Nun, chet, lamed. Nachal. It means an inheritance. So nachalatenu is what? Our inheritance. So he will choose for us our inheritance. So we know he said that he would feed us with the heritage of Jacob, correct? But here's something very interesting. We know that when we see the aleph and the tav together, a lot of times it grammatically it's being used to point at something. It's saying this right here so that there's no, it's putting a finger on it so that there's no mistake. So we know that he is choosing for us our inheritance. However, there's something very important going on here. Yes, he's choosing an inheritance for us. But what did Yahushua say? He said, I am the Aleph and the Tav. I am the first and the last, right? So when you look in the first verse of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, right? It says that in the beginning, right? Elohim Aleph Tav. All right. So a lot of times when we see the et, depending on the context of the sentence, we can see that the Messiah is in there as well. But what's so important about this is it says here that he will choose for us our inheritance. So our inheritance is the heritage of Jacob, right? But it's also what? The Aleph and the Tav, or Yahushua. He's part of our inheritance. Being able to have a relationship with the Messiah, that is part of our relationship, part of our inheritance. Isn't that amazing? All right. They saw it, they knew each other and all that back in the day, but they didn't know Yahushua in the way that we can know him. So it's wonderful to think that the Aleph, creator of the universe, right? The one who made everything, that he is actually part of our inheritance. It's like where it talks about in Hebrews that all of these, they went after a reward, right? That they didn't really know about. But we actually have the ability and the blessing to know who our Savior is. So he's going to choose for us our inheritance, which we know is also wrapped up in Yahushua. Then it says, et geon. So here's another thing. Here's another thing that's different. So in this case, the et is being used as a grammatical pointer. So the word geon, all right, the word geon means excellency. All right. So the word geon, it means excellency. So who is the excellency of Jacob? Yahushua. He's the highest of that could ever have come through Jacob's line. So this just further cements the fact that, you know, he's part of our inheritance. All right? So he'll choose for us our inheritance, the excellency of Jacob, and then Asher Ahev. So Asher is one of those words, it fits all over the place, and it means so many things. But in this case, we can translate it as that. Okay? Asher means to be satisfied. It means to be blessed. It means as a result of. It means so many things. But in this case, we can only really use the word that and make it make sense, because we have this word ahev attached to the end of it. So what does ahev mean? It is a shortened, conjugated form of the word ahava or ahav, right? To love. All right? So the excellency of Yaakov, who he, right? Because we're still talking about the Father, the excellency of who he loves. So what we have here is Psalm 47 and 4. And the King James translates it as, he shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob whom he loved. But he continues to love Jacob to this day. So that's why sometimes I have to change the tenses, because it doesn't make, he hasn't changed anything. But so anyway, like I said, that is Psalm 47 and 4. Do we have any questions on this particular sentence? You doing good, Brother Michael? Y'all okay? Okay, good. All right, let me go ahead and dust that. Dust that. We'll move on down to this next one. All right, so let's go ahead and have another go. Let's have another go at it. I don't know why this thing is making me so big. All right. So let's take a look at the first part of our sentence here. So we have an aleph, pointed patach, a. We have the letter shin, indicators over the right-hand side. So this makes an SH sound, and it has shva. So since this shva is following a short duration vowel point, it is what kind of shva? It is a silent shva. So these two letters work together to give us the sound ash. Then we have a resh here, and it's pointed sereyod. Okay? So this is going to give us an EI sound, like in the word 8, the number 8, right? So a, ray. So the word is ashre. Okay? Ashre. All right, ashre. Okay? So the next word, what do we have here? Okay. So we have a hey here, and it's pointed with patach. So that gives us what sound? Ha. But then we have the letter gimel, and this gimel is pointed with dagesh. All right? Right. So not only would we change the sound here, but we'll also double it because we're following another vowel point. And remember, it doesn't matter whether it's long duration, short duration, okay? We're following another vowel point. So in the case of dagesh, we're going to double the letter. So this first syllable goes from being ha to hag. All right? Then we're going to pick up the second one and the holem wa with the yud at the end. So we would pronounce that as g, oi, goy, goy. So hagoy, hagoy, G-O-I. That's the way I do it. All right, so ashre hagoy. Then we have another hyphenated word here, right? So we have what? Asher again. Aleph, right? Pointed chatef patach. Shin, pointed segol with a resh. Asher, right? And then look what we have after the asher. Yud hey, wah hey, right? So we have the Father's name. I'm going to put that down there. So we have Ashre Hagoy Asher Yawa. Okay. What about the next word here? All right, we have Aleph, pointed Chatef Segol, right? So this is going to take on a quick E. So eh. Then we have a Lamed here, and it's pointed Cholem, Lo, Elo. Then we have a Hey. But look at how our Hey is pointed. It's pointed with Kamatz, Yud, Wa. Remember, Kamatz, Yud, Wa always sounds like Av at the end of a word. It's a diphthong, okay? kamatz, yud, wa. Always sounds like av. So we're going to take this hey and then attach the av sound. So hav. So the word is Elohav. 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 Okay. So what about our next word here? Were you laughing over there? So we have a hey, and it's pointed kamatz, ha. Then we have ayin, silent letter, but it's pointed kamatz with a mem sofit, am, am. So ha'am, ha'am. All right. So what do we have so far? Ashrei hagoy asher Yahweh Elohav ha'am. Then let's finish off the rest of our sentence. We're going to be down here at the bottom. Okay. So we have the bait. We know it's bait because it has the dot inside. So we have a bait, pointed kamatz, ba, right? Then we have a chet, and it's pointed patach with a resh, char. So bachar, bachar. All right, what about the next word here? Right down, just a little. I'm gonna keep moving that down just a little bit because that's a mess right there. It's hard for me to see. So we have a lamed, so L sound. Now we have a shva here. So what kind of, Brother Michael, what kind of shva is that? Is that a vocal or a silent? It's vocal because it's at the beginning of a word. Okay? So it's going to give us a quick E. So L, E, le. Then we have a nun pointed patach, na. Then we have a chet pointed kametz patach, cha. Then we have lamed pointed kamatz, hey, la. Right? So we have lenachla. All right? Lenachla. Lenachla. All right, and then we have this last little quickie short word on the end here. Lo. So we have a lamed pointed cholem wa. L, o, lo. Okay? Lo. So we have transliterated our sentence. So let's read it together. Ashrei hagoy asher Yahweh Elohav ha'am bachar lenachla lo. Let's do it again. Ashrei hagoy asher Yahweh Elohav ha'am bachar lenachla lo. Okay, so ashrei. Remember, we talked about ashrei has a lot of different meanings, okay? But a lot of it really contains, or it all really depends on the context of where it's being used. So in this case, you remember there was one of the tribes is called what? Asher. And it talks about that out of his abundance, right, his soul will be satisfied. He'll dip his foot in oil. And so when we talk about Asher, it talks about having things, talks about being satisfied, talks about being comfortable. Okay? So, Ashrei, we have the root word ashar, but then we've got this yud on the end. Okay? So this is not saying my happiness or my, it's not saying that at all. All right? So what this yud on the end is doing is it's modifying it, and it's adding kind of a link here. Okay? So if we took happy or satisfied or delighted or something like that, is. All right, it's being used as a linking verb because what we've got here is it's saying that because of the way the King James grammar is set up, it's saying happy is, or even sometimes like in the scriptures, it's in the King James, it actually says blessed. Okay, but we have a tendency to look for the word baruch, right? So ashrei, they're happy. They are blessed. They're happy because they don't have worries and cares, and they have abundance, and they have good things. It's kind of like when Job was talking about, I wash my steps in butter and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's just it doesn't mean he actually did that. What that means is that's a thematic device to show that I've got so much that I could use butter to wash my steps with if I wanted to. I'm not worried about it coming. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it's a thematic device. So what it's saying here is that happy or content or blessed is, then it says hagoi. Hagoi. So what does that mean? Okay, nation. Okay, so the hey on the beginning can be used as a direct article, the. Okay, but then the rest of the word goy means nation, stranger, outsider, things like that. But nation would definitely, well, because he said, I will make of you a nation, right? So that's what we want to look at. It's saying that the nation, and this is cool too because it's actually showing, see, because for the longest time, the knowledge of Yahweh was only for Judah. You see? But the scriptures tell us that it was given to them first, but then also to who? The Greek or the nations, right? Peter and James and John and them, they went and preached to Judah, where Paul and Barnabas and Silas, who did they preach to? To the nations, right? Opening the way for us to understand and to learn and become grafted in. So this is kind of a prophetic statement here. All right, so happy or blessed is the nation. Then we have Asher Yahweh. All right, remember what we did before? That. So for Asher, that. Yahweh. All right, so happy or blessed is the nation that Yahweh. Then what do we have? Elohav. Elohav. So what does that mean? Well, you know what Av means. What does Av mean on the end of a word? That diphthong, what does it translate to? What does it mean? His. So Elo, El of his. Elohav. Okay? So happy or blessed is the nation that Yahweh is his El. Does that make sense? Elohav. El of the O sound is being used as of, all right? And then have, all right? It's his Elohim. So who's the he we're talking about? We're talking about that nation. Okay? Put a semicolon there. All right? So blessed is the nation that has Yahweh as their El. All right. So what about ha'am? All right. Hey, again, in this case, being used as a definite article, the. And then we know in Hebrew the word means people, right? So the people, right? Then we have Bachar, which means what? All right. The people chosen, right? Then Lenachla, how would we pronounce that? As an inheritance. Okay? We have to get the casing correct. Okay? The lamed, a lot of times we think too statically about it being to in the direction of. It can be used as a comparison as, or but what it's saying is these people are chosen. So if they're chosen, and we know it's not to inherit, all right, because of the last part. You see the last part where it says lo? All right. So what does that mean? Incorrect. Lo. You're wrong. That is lo. It would be a lamed. It would be a lamed with an aleph if it was no. All right. This is lamed with cholemwa. So this means to him. So how can they be chosen, right, to inherit to him? Grammatically, it doesn't make any sense. So they are chosen as an inheritance to him or by him, right? Because he said, that Yaakov is my inheritance. Is that not what the Father said? All right, the Father said, Jacob is my inheritance. So that's why this makes sense, because like I said, yeah, we could have seen it as, chosen to inherit, but chosen to inherit to him does not make sense. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we have to kind of get out of the rigid construct and kind of go with, it talks about the letter kills, but the spirit brings to life. Sometimes you got to get in the spirit of the word, not just the nuts and bolts, black and white grammatical terms. You know what I mean? You got to open your brain to it. That's why I'm glad that I was able to start looking at the language when I was so young, because my mind could kind of form those connections, and it's still with me today. So it makes it easier for me. You know what I mean? So that's why I always like seeing the kids in the class, because these are wonderful things to learn, and if you can make these bridges early in life, they stick with you. So we have Psalm 33 and 12. And 33 and 12 says, blessed is the nation whose Elohim is Yahweh, and the people whom he has chosen for his own inheritance. All right. So, I mean, their translation is not too far off from our own. So, I feel okay with it. But like I said, I wanted everybody to know that what's really awesome here is this part, this hagoi. This tickles me. You know what I'm saying? Because we were always told that we were kind of second-class citizens. We didn't have, a heritage. We didn't have this. We didn't have that. Well, but what about this scripture here when it says hagoi? And if anybody qualifies as goyim, it's us, right? We are strangers, right? We're strangers, and we were once strangers to his covenant, right? The scriptures talk about that. It says that who were once not a people, are a people, right? What is that in Hosea, right? Right? He said, one time you had no mercy, but now you have mercy, right? And it also talks about, crossing over from darkness into his marvelous light. So we're no longer strangers anymore. And so, like I said, that's exciting to me. But anyway, that is Psalm 33 and 12. So I'm going to go ahead and close it down on that. I want to thank everybody for being here. Like I said, I know it seems a little shorter, but this way I can kind of focus more on the sentence structure, and we're not. It's not already after sunset before we're dismissing. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for being with us.